some fragrances are more unique than others. These days, a lot of modern fragrances try to be very similar to each other, especially for women, women's perfume. It mainly follows the sweet floral, maybe kind of sugary sweet sort of thing. Then for men, maybe it's more sharp citrus. Either way, some perfumes are just too similar to each other, so they're kind of forgettable, not too unique. But there are some definitely very, very unique perfumes that I have discovered so far, and I'll go through some of them here. Starting with one of the strangest and most interesting fragrances I've discovered so far, which is Lulu by Kashavel. This is not the original bottle design. If you take a look at the original bottle design from 1987, I believe, it looks like a spaceship. Same colors, but it looks like a hamburger, geometrical hamburger with this sharp knob on the top. Very kind of spaceship-esque. This is a very strange smelling perfume, not in a bad way, quite almost in an addictive way. It has a lot of notes: plum, Chinese cinnamon wood, anise, mimosa, something called Tahitian tiar flower, and then incense, sandalwood, musk, and vanilla, and some floral notes. Very strange mixture of notes, which creates this very distinct, instantly recognizable scent. I have not smelled anything that smells like Lulu, and I probably never will, because it's not in fashion at the moment. Like I said, lots of perfumes are going for the typical sweet, sugary, floral, fruity sort of thing. This is more spicy, with some interesting sweetness from the florals, and then also the incense and the sandalwood and stuff like that. So if you want something to really make you think about what you're wearing, you should get Lulu, because it's definitely very, very distinct, a very pretty fragrance. It's definitely like that exotic, tropical sort of thing. So definitely very unique fragrance, and it's been unique for 30-something years. So then, actually this is an even older fragrance. This is Youth Dew from Estee Lauder. This is also something you would never see anymore. Super classic, super spicy. Cloves, cinnamon, incense, resin, tons of floral notes, roses and lily of the valley and things like that. All blended together. Amazing concoction. Super, super strong. Some would argue too strong. I say it's really good for longevity, considering its strength. And it's associated with an older generation because it came out in 1953, but I would argue that it's one of those classics that stay around. And again, the mix of spices and the florals and kind of resinous notes makes it very special. Very something that you don't see very often. There's not... The only perfume I can think of that comes close to this is Coco by Chanel, which is from the 80s. So more of an older style fragrance, but this is a delicious fragrance in my opinion. Some people can't stand it because of the strength mainly, but I think it's really good, especially if you like spicy, sort of musky, earthy sort of scents, because that's exactly what Youth Dew is. Then, if you want something more modern, there's a sample of Baccarat Rouge 540. That does a really good job, because it does a great job of breaking through the modern mold of perfume, because it has only 6 notes: saffron, jasmine, amberwood, ambergris, fir resin, and cedar. And you would think that this would be very, too simple to be interesting just with 6 notes. But you'd be wrong, because somehow it layers these notes so interestingly that it's extremely unique. It breaks the mold. The saffron is immediately recognizable. It has that warm spiciness. Then it also has the salty, musky, marine nature of the ambergris, which is products from the ocean. And then it also has the woodiness of the fir and the cedar. And putting those all on top of each other creates this delicious blend. There's a bit of sweetness in there, probably from the jasmine, combined with the warm, kind of crackling spiciness, then the very grounding wood notes. And all that is just great, in my opinion. I have not come across any fragrance that comes even close to Baccarat Rouge 540, so if you want something to stand out and, make sure that you're not wearing anyone else is wearing, that's a good option. Because it's really good. Then, a very interesting option is Juliet Has a gun. Now, this is the brand. It's called Not a Perfume. This is called Not a Perfume because it's not a traditional perfume. It has one note, which is called ambrox. And ambrox is a synthetic version of ambergris, which is what Baccarat Rouge has. I've tried this before, and it's very interesting because ambrox usually has this kind of slight musky note, kind of marine saltiness, but it seems to be a little bit different depending on who's wearing it, because obviously it reacts with your skin, body chemistry. But this single note, this single chemical that they use is, in my opinion, slightly sweet, slightly almost kind of warm or spicy, and then it almost has an almond sort of note. That's just me. I'm sure other people have other experiences with this, but for me it's a very, very interesting fragrance and I really enjoy it. The only problem is longevity. It's not too strong. It might only last around 2-ish hours, maybe 3. If you put lotion on beforehand, it could probably last 4 or 5 hours, but it's a little bit low on the longevity, so if you can't tolerate fragrances that don't last very long, then this might not be a good option. But otherwise, the smell is very good, very interesting, and very unique since it only has one note. So, and then last one is another modern option, Eau Givrée Terre d'Hermès. So this is super delicious. The main thing that stands out is the juniper notes, juniper berries, and the name Eau Givrée means frozen water, so you can get an idea that this is supposed to be a fresh, cool, sharp sort of fragrance, and that's exactly what it is. And at the same time, it's not an unwelcoming fragrance. Sometimes fragrances are too cold and hard and unfriendly, but this isn't like that because of the juniper berries. And that note is my favorite note because it's as if there's a juniper tree growing inside the vial. It's super authentic, super true to life. That very powerful green woody note, and surprisingly long lasting. It's not super long lasting, it's probably more 6-7 hours. Very good daytime fragrance, but there's not a lot of fragrances that use juniper, especially so strong. Maybe it is, kind of off to the side and covered by other notes, but this is, I would say the juniper berries are the main notes, or main note in this fragrance, which for me is a huge bonus because juniper is one of my favorite scents, and like I said, it's not a very common note, so if you want something unique, this will be a very good option because it stands out. So that's all I have to say about unique fragrances. Of course, there are many more, but these are the ones that stand out immediately in my head. So if you have anything to say about these fragrances, you can leave a comment down below. If you liked the video, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.